Could this be upset weekend in college football? I mean, just take a look at that game right over there. It's got all the makings of it. Let me explain why. But before I do, make sure to smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell so you don't miss any football or racing. Let's get into this, shall we? So, got the Georgia Bulldogs going on the road to Mississippi State, to Starkville, where the Bulldogs got their first, Mississippi State Bulldogs got their first SEC victory of the season against Arkansas, coming off a devastating overtime loss to Texas. And it's been a trend with Mississippi State. They lost to, I believe this game went to overtime. Yes, this game went to overtime. They lost in overtime to Tennessee. If I remember correctly, this game was close until it wasn't. It was 7-3 at half. Let me take a look. How close did this puppy really get? Okay. It was 7-3 at half. And then Mississippi State fell apart. Florida. This game, they lost by 2. In the swamp. And then the heartbreaking loss to Texas. But they finally got that win in Fayetteville. I get these two teams have very identical routes. One play here, one play there, and we may be looking at a totally different season for both teams. Now, football gods have a funny way of really righting the ship, so to speak. Sometimes they wait till next year, sometimes they just, you know what? You've earned this, the ball's going to bounce your way. And this could very well be that game. You look at the spread. Everybody's hopping on the Bulldogs. Opened at 8.5. 8.5 point favorite. It's ballooned up to 9.5. Let's take a look at the last couple of games that Georgia's played. Oh, you have the close game in which they didn't cover against Florida. Oh, you have the close game against Ole Miss. Granted, Ole Miss is a top 5 team, according to the committee. Oh, they only won by 10 against Auburn. But they got the ship righted, so we believed, against Kentucky. But then before that, they got blown out by Bama. And don't let that score fool you, folks. Yes, Georgia came charging very, very hard at the end, like they always do. But this time, they came up oh so short. They had an opportunity to win it there. They went 3 and out. Had an opportunity to win it there. And turnover rundowns. Had an opportunity once again. And they had to punt. And the defense couldn't stop Bama. And then you go to the game against Tennessee in Neyland, where they were a missed field goal away winning from losing that game and really changing the complexion of the season. I know cats have nine lives, but how many lives does a bulldog have? Does Georgia have one more life in them to escape an upset? I mean, maybe. Uh, he. I know Jeff Lebby's the head coach, but that's about my knowledge of Mississippi State. But I can tell you, their coaching staff's probably a little bit better than Georgia's because Mike Bobo's an idiot. The Glenn Schumann, whatever his name is, defensive coordinator, has shown to be just about as useless as Mike Bobo. And I'm getting really this is this is my the biggest grind of my gears. Is well, Gunnar Stockton's got grit. Yeah, I'm from the Midwest. I've heard that term. That pretty much means he's not very talented, but he finds a way to beat the little teams. Or or it's one of those. Well, he tries really, really hard every single time, but comes up against the big boys like in Alabama. It's gonna come up short, but he has grit. Give me a break. This is the University of Georgia Bulldogs. It's championship or bust every single season. And if we're already doing the whole he's got grit, you're in trouble. Now, let's see what the model says. Does the model say that Georgia is going to cover 8.5? I have not looked at this yet. This is an honest, true prediction, true guess on what the model's going to say. I'm going to take a guess and say they have Mississippi State covering the 8.5. Take a look. Ooh, so close. 9. So they do think Georgia is going to cover 28-19. That is very, very close. 9.5's the spread. Opened at 8.5. That just means a whole lot of people aren't quite understanding what Georgia football is doing. And as far as all the makings for an upset, got a veteran quarterback in Blake Shapen. Been around the block a few times. Senior. Started at Baylor for a lot of games. At home. And the big, mighty Georgia Bulldogs, well, they might have some look ahead syndrome. Because they have Texas on the horizon. And then they got Charlotte, which, oh, you do know that. Especially if you're a Big Ten fan like I am, because that is gonna be the weekend I tear the SEC a new one. But nonetheless, now does Georgia win this? Does Mississippi State pull off the upset? I'm gonna say, uh, I think the odds are better. I think the odds are better than what they're saying they are. Got the veteran quarterback. Georgia's looking ahead. Georgia hasn't been looking that good. I mean, well, I really don't like this spot for the dogs for Georgia, and to be it for Mississippi State make their stamp for Jeff Lebby to just completely shock the system. You're gonna have an environment which I'm assuming you're gonna have an environment that believes that an upset can happen. and you're gonna have those cowbells going absolutely wild, which drives me crazy, by the way. Reasons why I hate watching Mississippi State at home. Hate it. Um, the more I talk about it, the more I believe it. I mean, especially if Georgia wants to continue to play cute with playing with Nate Frazier a lot, uh, throwing the ball way too much, and not using Chauncey Bowens like the freaking stud that he is. Uh, Georgia's gonna find themselves looking up, and Blake Shapen, he's been a quarterback in college football for a very 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 long time. He knows how to manage a game. He's been in, if I remember correctly, he's been in big moments, and this is gonna be the biggest moment of his collegiate career. Have the Georgia Bulldogs? They haven't looked good all year long. Here we are. Have your opportunity. Shock the world. And that really puts Georgia on their back foot if they are looking ahead. Jeff Lebby, Blake Shapen, ooh, happen. Let's run down this road. Let's say Mississippi State pulls off this upset. Then they got to come home to Texas, and Arch Manning found a little something. Something. He's beginning to figure it out. So I wouldn't put it past Texas for them to go into Sanford Stadium, pull off the upset. We go. And then they got Charlotte, which again we'll talk about that on that weekend. Then we have Georgia Tech, who is in desperate need of a statement game. Haynes King knows this rivalry. He knows how close they were 1 year ago in 6 overtimes. Brett Key, a Georgia Tech alum, he knows this game very, very well. And he knows how close they came. And they are going to be going into that game as hungry as can be. Hell bent on revenge. This could very well be the beginning of the end of the Georgia Bulldog season. Gosh, I feel like I feel like, oh my goodness. There's a lot of SEC teams that are just like begging to collapse, but they just freaking won't. You have potentially Georgia, have Vanderbilt, have Oklahoma. They are all well set to collapse. Vanderbilt, I don't think they're going to get the opportunity. Oklahoma, yeah, that collapse is coming next. It's coming hard when they play Alabama, which I will be talking about that game sometime next, because this is the format that I am going to be doing from now on. Live stream, the internet doesn't want to work with me on live streaming, but nonetheless. And Texas Texas A&M and Alabama, they are set for a date in Atlanta. Ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, you could, in theory, have A&M lose this weekend, but they're going up against a backup freshman quarterback who looked good last week, or a couple weeks ago, but It's Texas A&M with a good defense, a good coach, and Marcel Reed, who is really feeling themselves after beating LSU so bad they didn't let their head coach back into the building. All right. I guess my final prediction is definitely Mississippi State to cover the 8.5. Full blown upset? Maybe. Definitely going to be closer than what the experts. Um, I don't trust Georgia to just be able to put the boot across the proverbial throat. Give me Mississippi State in a close one. I can't. But you know what? I'd rather be right than loyal. Love it or hate it, is what it is. I'm Dylan Hildreth. This is the Dylan Hildreth Show. Make sure to like, follow, and we'll see you in the next one.